Welcome to the Explainer. If we're going to really understand the grim Gothic fable of the Ink Stained Shroud, you have to hear it exactly as I experienced it. So, picture this. I'm arriving at a village square as just a weary, detached traveler. The town is literally choking on ash. And I'm just standing there, completely cold, completely impassive, watching this harvest begin.
The sky above us looked like a bruised lung. The air was so iron-heavy, it just muffled every single sound. But through all that gloom, there were these two figures commanding the square. You had this dancing jester, though his bells were totally silenced by the thick air, and then, right behind him, the obsidian doctor, looming like this massive pillar of absolute midnight. I mean, the contrast between that theatrical mockery and the creeping dread of the whole thing, it was absolute.
Then, out of nowhere, the silence just breaks. The jester thrusts his face into the wind and shouts, "When the great bear loses its eye, the harvest of the heart begins." And the chilling part? He didn't even glance at the mortal standing right in front of him. No, he was looking straight up at the cosmos to dictate their fate. Which brings us to Section 1, the guttering sky, the almanac of celestial rot. See, the jester completely ignores the earthly horizons that you and I use to navigate. While our maps are always searching for the dawn, he's just standing there clutching this rusted starfinder. And he's not looking for direction, he's charting the literal decay of the constellations. To him, the heavens are just an almanac of rot. He's watching these ancient stars blink out like guttering candles, tracking the exact clockwork moment a soul is ripe for the harvest, based entirely on the feverish, pathetic brightness of humanity.
Moving on to Section 2, the ink-stained apprentice, casting the silhouette.
So, right there on the cobblestones, with this huge theatrical flourish of his tattered sleeves, the jester does something that genuinely freezes your blood. He casts off his own shadow. It actually detaches and transforms into this faceless, liquid silhouette. We're talking about a being of just impossible geometry. It starts moving with this smooth, predatory grace, acting as the obsidian doctor's newly appointed assistant.
As an observer, I just watched the detached, clockwork logic of this whole nightmare unfold. The obsidian doctor, the sovereign of the void, was there to perform his final surgery. But here's the catch. According to the laws of this universe, he cannot operate on a soul that is still tethered to its own reflection. So, it's a grim process. You track the celestial rot, you peel the shadow, history dissolves, and then the name is struck. And that brings us to Section 3, skinning the reflection, the weight of lifetimes. I watched this apprentice move from house to house. It would just reach down and peel the shadows right away from the feet of the living, literally like skinning a piece of fruit. Now you might be wondering, what actually is a shadow here? Well, it's considered primary ink. It's not just an absence of light. It's the absolute empirical reality of human guilt. It's the heavy, concentrated weight of a lifetime's worth of secrets, unspoken sins, and forgotten memories. And the moment these shrouds were harvested, you could see the victims get overcome by this terrible lightness. Without their histories, without that guilt, they completely lost their substance. Their pasts just dissolved right into the assistant's inkwell. It left these people as essentially translucent ghosts, just shivering there in a light they couldn't even block anymore. Okay, Section 4. Silk of Lost Secrets, Weaving the Dark Tapestry. So the shadow brings this overflowing inkwell back to the obsidian doctor, and those raw, heavy memories, they get folded like silk into the deep pleats of his midnight blue robes. It becomes this massive, shifting tapestry of lost lives, the secrets of the greedy, the regrets of the cruel, the silent prayers of the desperate. All of it gets transformed into this dark pigment. He's literally using the essence of these stolen lives to author the destruction of reality itself. Like I said, I was just a weary traveler watching this, completely impassive. I watched the doctor open this massive book, the Ledger of 1,000 Cities. He took out a staff made of blackened bone, dipped it into that primary ink, and began to finalize his measurements. One by one, he struck their names completely from existence. It was just this cold, bureaucratic, completely devastating finality. Which leads us to our final section, Part 5, the blank page, a world without stories. Eventually, the ritual just ends. That shadow, now bloated and heavy with the ink of 1,000 lives, slithers right back to the jester's feet. The doctor simply turns toward the horizon, looking for his next canvas. And the village they left behind? It was bright, hollow, and utterly silent.
It was a completely blank page, stripped of absolutely all history, just sitting there waiting for the doctor's next devastating stroke while those ancient stars kept failing up above.
So, seeing all of this leaves us with a pretty profound, honestly unsettling question. What actually remains of a person once the record of their darkness is taken away? Think about it. A shadow isn't just a lack of light. It's a record of the darkness you've spent your whole life trying to outrun. When the Sovereign of the Void reclaims your ink, you aren't just dead, you are erased. The world just becomes a silent room with absolutely no stories left to tell. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.